So, I've got to address the few elephants that entered the room after this third anniversary livestream for Honkai Star Rail. While the whole livestream itself, I would give a solid 5 to 6 out of 10 for its presentation, would have been even less with the amount of blue balling done with all those anniversary awards, just for the bulk of them to be offline events, and the final reward being a chance to win a car.
Are you serious?
There are some things that were shown off or discussed that have given me extra insight as to what to actually expect for the coming month of the game's content, as well as gaining perspective on how Hoyoverse actually does certain things for their game. My insight is also based on prior events and occurrences that took place in the past years of this game's lifespan, which has thus given me cause for concern with what to expect further down the line. Now, before I get to explain myself what exactly I mean, I just want to dish out a few disclaimers for the people that decided to click and watch this video. Number 1, this video does not intend to be one of doom posting or slandering the game. I merely intend to provide my analysis and thoughts on certain things shown off or discussed, and give my interpretation on what this would mean for us as the players, both positively and negatively. 2, anything and everything that I do mention in this entire video, please keep in mind that at the end of the day, it is only my opinion and nothing to take to heart. And lastly, if such videos pique your interest and you are interested to see more of this type of content, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell notification. Now let me get to the meat and potatoes. So it is confirmed on this livestream that Silverwolf level 999, our third anniversary unit, has a global passive. Our second global passive, Nature's Off. The passive will activate when an ally suffers a crowd controlling debuff, cleansing the debuff and giving all allies immunity to crowd controlling debuffs for a certain number of turns. Now, just a small side tangent before I go on. Considering the reaction the community had for the first iteration of a global passive, I have not seen the same traffic of discussion with regards to the second iteration of one, leading me to believe that either a vast majority of those players have already left the game, or the community has already numbed themselves to these sorts of practices. Now, whether that's a good or bad thing, I'll let you be the one to harbor such an opinion. Coming back to what I was discussing about, an interesting observation I picked up on was that even though the global passive cleansed the domination debuff, it actually does not undo the action advance effect attached to that ability. This would mean that if an ally got affected by entanglement or imprisonment, the debuff would get cleansed, but it would not undo the action delay effect attached to these abilities. Except for the one case scenario of your ally having the ultimate ready but they are currently being CC'd, Silverwolf's global passive serves to act as a detective control rather than a preventative control similar to Caster's global passive. In my opinion, Silverwolf's global passive is significantly weaker than Caster's global passive, since Caster's global passive essentially serves as a second life to ally characters and prevents a down character on the first instance. The player has an incentive to play a bit more aggressively or take riskier actions in situations where they would be advised to focus on sustaining. This, therefore, actually leads to an indirect damage increase to their accounts. For what was both shown off and discussed in the livestream, as well as what I've mentioned, I've come up with the following thoughts regarding the future of global passives. Number 1, considering the power difference I explained between Caster's and Silverwolf's global passive, I'm led to believe that Hoyoverse would not integrate future global passives that hold similar power to Caster's global passive, since an ability like hers that would be seen as a defensive countermeasure actually ends up being an indirect offensive benefit to player accounts, and instead opt for extreme niche case scenarios and design future global passives around that extreme niche case scenario. 2. Caster's and Silverwolf have two things in common. They are both main push characters and they are both anniversary characters. This makes me believe that the global passives will be reserved for future anniversary characters, in order to make them stand out and feel more special compared to any other main push character that gets introduced in between the present anniversary and the future anniversary. Now, before anyone points out Acheron, the most logical reason that she possibly does not have one is because at the time of her inception, global passives weren't on the drawing board yet for innovative gameplay ideas. Also, Acheron has yet to receive a Nova Flare, so maybe when that day comes, she'll get her very own global passive. Part of me highly doubts that possibility, but who knows? I like to be wrong on these things. Lastly, even though I mentioned how I was intending to design global passives to cover niche case scenarios, I do want to bring up that when Caster's global passive got introduced, we suddenly saw an attack inflation on enemies, which became a persistent occurrence throughout the version 3 era, really trying to sell their global passive. I suspect the version 4 era will foresee future enemies having crowd control debuff mechanics to really sell Silverwolf's global passive. Version 3 did offer us a band-aid in the form of Danghang Preservation, who has amazing sustaining power, especially to the non-Hyacine havers like myself. I can foresee version 4 offering us a free sustain that has strong debuff prevention power, since our current sustains that have ways to prevent, not cleanse, prevent debuff application are not up to current standards. This part is purely my speculation, so take what I say with a grain of salt. It should be long known by now that political tensions between the Chinese and Japanese ended up affecting HSR and its Japanese themes, and very likely anything story related that incorporated Japanese inspired elements to this. So the natural assumption one would have is that story rewrites were done to remove these elements. However, we do not know exactly how much was rewritten. 4.0 and 4.1 most likely had bits and pieces that were rewritten, but 4.2 is looking to be the bulk of what was rewritten. The obvious elephant in the room here is how Silverwolf, even though we are already familiar with the character, had I think a total of 3 to 4 short scenes throughout the 4.0 and 4.1 story quests. And she's been marketed and pushed so much compared to Evanesia, a character that displays an important presence and moves the plot forward in both story versions, that from a marketing perspective just feels sidelined for some reason. I can't exactly put my finger on it, but my gut is telling me that we are about to experience a Pinnacle 2.2 all over again, where the storyline took a drastic 180-degree turn and left us with so many plot holes that eventually got addressed around 1.5 years later. I'm unsure if 4.2 is only meant to be the climax of the story rather than the epic conclusion, but considering that Plain Arcadia is only the first half of version 4 storyline, I'm led to believe that whatever rewrites potentially took place here will not significantly affect the second half of the storyline in any way. Only time will tell, and again, this is just merely speculation on my part that I hope I'm wrong. When I saw Cass's new skin, my reaction was... But of course, like the few other skins we've got, no matter how aesthetically different it looks, it always gives this samey vibe to it. The best example I can point out is the Filiran Mai skin we got recently. Both the design palette and the color scheme of the skin being too similar to original outfit gives off a feeling of why even make a skin in the first place, considering how hard it is to make 3D skins in these open world, open area games, and that's why we barely see skins being pumped out, since these skins only change the appearance of the character and nothing else. You can kind of get an idea of how future skins will look to accommodate for idle animations and combat animations. So in future, say for example, the Herta gets a skin. She'll definitely be wearing a big hat with it to accommodate for standby and ultimate animation where she holds a hat. And if Finon gets a new skin, the visual existence of said skin will feel almost non-existent as Firefly's skin during combat. This can all change in the future if Hoyoverse decides to make high rarity skins that change combat or ultimate animations, give new idle animations, or bundle the skin up with a themed phone wallpaper, background profile, and a skin exclusive avatar. But until that day miraculously happens, I believe future skins in HSR will have this design philosophy. While I am on the topic of skins, I'd like to talk about this event they brought back again from the second anniversary to the ones that blaze. So last year, it was said that Firefly was one of the most picked characters from last year's batch of characters, to which she then received the schoolgirl skin not long after. So this is basically the hidden popularity poll. I wouldn't really say whatever character that gets the most picked this year ends up getting a skin, but maybe something else like a Nova Flare or an SP version. Either way, something to keep in mind when this event arrives. So initially I thought nothing of this announcement of another concert. I personally like watching these and it's a fun source of entertainment. But then I remembered that the concert last year had two short trailers. One showing off the collab characters and the other trailer revealing Honkai Nexus Anima. Not the first time Hoyoverse shows off a trailer or two for these concerts, and we still haven't heard any news or updates with the fake collab, so fingers crossed we get another reveal at the end of the concert. Otherwise, expect more Doom posting on X. And that's all the important bits I've gathered and shared my thoughts about, but if I did miss anything, be sure to let me know down in the comments. There were a few extra stuff I wanted to mention, but I feel that should get its own dedicated video in the near future. So if you're interested to see that content, and if you enjoyed watching this video, once again be sure to give this video a like, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell notification to stay updated with future HSR videos or any other gacha related content in the future. Thank you all for watching until the end, and I will see you all in the next one. Ciao.